Awesome. How's everybody doing? We getting tired or are we excited still? Woo, in the back. Perfect. So my name is Dane Laughlin. I'm our enterprise chair for today. And I have the distinguished privilege to introduce this panel here. They're talking about leveraging past tech for digital intelligent transformation and realities. So quite the mouthful there. I'll start by introducing Kathy, who will be the chair for this panel. So go ahead and introduce everybody, Kathy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Dane. I want to thank everybody here for coming to our session. I always try to have a panel that's fun and entertaining, but equally important that you get to see our exchange, learn a lot, and really engage yourself. So I encourage all of you to think about any questions or just simple comments too. You know, do you agree, disagree with what we're going to talk about? And I guarantee you we'll have very different perspectives. Again, thank you, Dane. We're really going to talk about leveraging past technologies for advancing the digital intelligent transformation and realities. Before we get into the heart of today's discussion, Ieee, it's not Ieee, but Ieee for those of you that are unfamiliar. We're one of the largest and oldest technical professions. We have worldwide over 400,000 members. Some early members, if you're wondering what we did, was Marconi, Thomas Edison. Think about all of you that have cell phones, smart devices, computers. Ieee was the leader in driving the standard behind the connectivity, which allows one to connect via Wi-Fi, and that's the 802.11 standard. So if you're not familiar with Ieee, I encourage you to do a Google search and look up 802.11 and IEEE. Please stop by our booth too. The exhibits open up tomorrow. Booth number 500. As soon as you walk through the doors, turn to your immediate right. And we are trying to adhere to AWE 2021 this year, totally contactless. We've got little goodie bags that have information and plus little toys in there too that are practical. Reporting into Ieee is future directions. Future direction looks to further advances into current, present, emerging, and future technologies, as well as socio-economic, ethical issues through launching new initiatives. We've advanced to the next level of not just big data, but any data. And what can we do? What can we learn from that data and apply it? That leads me to the Digital Reality Initiative. DRI focuses on enabling digital transformation through artificial intelligence, machine learning, the various realities, AR, VR, XR, digital twins, and that overall digital transformation. What I'm going to do is challenge my panelists. I will ask my subject matter experts, Tom Coughlin from Coughlin Associates, Javika Ranawira from Oracle, and Nico Snap from Xmark Labs. My question, I'll present it to Tom first. Please describe your role from the vantage point of your day-to-day work, knowledge base, experience, and how you have seen advances of old and new technologies digitally transform your world and our world. Tom?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Whoops. Okay, got it. So I'm by day I do digital storage and memory, and I've worked in the industry for like 40 some years. I write reports on storage memory and applications, and including media and entertainment is one of the areas I cover. I've also put on events, storage and memory events, and again, applications, and done consulting of various sorts for the last 20 years. I've had my own company, Coughlin Associates. And with regard to digital transformation, so I've been around for a while, and I have a lot of stuff. And right now, actually, I'm busy trying to throw out a bunch of my analog stuff, if you will, to make more room in my place. So that's one of my personal digital transformations right now, is getting rid of a bunch of old books and T-shirts.
Oh, that's what you mean by analog. Okay.
Indeed, physical things, and so I can have a little more room for other things going on and for the family and stuff. So that's my personal digital transformation at this point in time. But I've been involved in, moving from the analog world into the digital world. And one of the things there, of course, is you got to put the stuff somewhere, and that's where the storage memory comes in. It's an important element of every type of technology that people can be involved in. And that's where the stuff sits, that's where it gets processed from, it's where you keep it for the long term.
Thanks. Chavika.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
go ahead.
You want me to read it again?
No.
Okay, you got this.
Yeah. So I got the question. Yeah. So I think I would answer it through my experience, specifically the pandemic that we went through. For me, I think it's like a technology time machine that shifted all of us decades into the future, because it brought us, gave a platform, massive platform to all the digital technologies we have, and numerous products were available for us to experience it and find out what is good about those products and what are the problems that some of those digital technologies have. So it did give us, the pandemic gave us all that exposure. And also right now I think is the real time for us to see all the advantages we see in these immersive technologies, because they have the potential to be the transformational technology. Like you can see every day we are seeing how some of these technologies are changing our lives and how we are changing the way we interact with technology. For an example, I don't know how many of you have seen the immersive Van Gogh exhibition. After I went to see that, I don't think I would ever want to go back and see any more art exhibitions in a traditional way, because each time I think, even now, I feel that I'm in that immersive environment. That's how it was, for me. So knowing that, I think it's going to change our lives, these technologies. And also the digital revolution that we are going through, starting from AI all the way to self-driving cars, Internet of Things, as well as quantum computing, all the way down to, I would say, drones and those little pods that we are using. They are basically changing our lives. They are giving us new challenges every day, as well as new opportunities for us, especially for us as engineers, for us to solve those problems. Yeah. So, and when you look at the health sector, I would say they are helping us to save lives, find solutions for the diseases, and probably extend the lifespan of life expectancy, I guess. And because of that, as well as the education is giving a huge platform for people who are not able to access directly like before. So there is so much happening. I can just give you an example of recently, as part of, I'm a member of the Oracle's first responders team. So every year we have to train to get the CPR certification. This year we did through virtual reality. So since we are working from home, we got all the stuff sent to us, the headset, the controllers, all the dummy bodies, and the defibrillator for us to work. And within 2 to 3 hours, we had the most enjoyable, immersive, virtual experience, which was not possible from, I don't think I get that level of education from going through this for almost a day. So that's the kind of thing that we are seeing. What else? Other things could be, one more thing I wanted to say, although we are having all these good things, there are certain things that I mentioned that we have to pay attention to. One is the discrepancy between have-nots and haves, because a lot of people in this world are getting access to all these technologies, but we are leaving behind so many people in disadvantaged regions, as well as, most of them are women, girls, as I mentioned in the International Day of the Girl keynote. We are leaving behind girls, even the elderly, the disabled people, and a lot of people are behind because they don't have the connection that we all have. So that is something we need to pay attention to. And also the diversity is a must in any group when you're doing product development. When we were at CES last year, just before the pandemic, I visited one of the products that they were having face recognition technique to identify women versus men among the crowd. So I was there among a lot of people, and I saw the results, and I was able to take a picture of me, and I saw they had separated men and women, and I looked like a woman, so that was okay. And I didn't have time to analyze the photo, but when I went to the hotel room that night, I paid attention to the thing. I was kind of disappointed to see all the men were dressed up like with suit, like a tie and a coat, and the women were identified with an apron, you know. Why? You know, I said, definitely there was no diversity in this group who did that, you know. I like to cook and entertain people, but I don't think we should be labeling all women with an apron, you know. They should be, so that's just an example of how we need to have diversity so that these kind of things will not happen in the future. That's just a few.
Wow, you threw out so many deep thoughts here. Keep that, because we can keep going on a lot of the things that you talk. But one other thing I want to emphasize too is like the digital divide, digital inclusion. That is so relevant in today's space. But we can use technology, right, as enablers to really help to bring that digital divide closer and really enable the reach globally. So many factors, Javika. Thank you. Nick, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, I do a lot of work with digital transformation, particularly interested in how it can solve real business problems. But when it comes to AR and VR, I think I'm the old man on the team. My first experience was almost 30 years ago. There used to be a cluster of VR startups outside Boston on Route 128, including companies that are often forgotten today, like Leap Optics, who actually developed the optics that were the inspiration for the optics in the latest Oculus devices, and several others. So yeah, that was my first. I'm sure I played Dactyls at Disney Quest at some point on a virtuality system. In the mid to late 90s, I was running an animation studio, and we actually pioneered the use of VR in production. We had a motion capture stage, and the actors, of course, couldn't see what they were supposed to be interacting with. And I had a pair of virtual I/O glasses, which I think ran at maybe 640 by 480 pixels, 30 frames a second, something like that. And we hooked that up with a very early version of Filmbox, so that we could basically do what James Cameron did in Avatar, but without all the millions of dollars. And that was around 97, 98. If any of you ever saw the Starship Troopers kids cartoon, we actually used it very extensively in that production. Fast forward a bit, in 2010, I had an AR startup that was funded by the National Science Foundation, and since then I've done a bunch of different AR and VR projects. When it comes to things that I've seen that I think really have transformed everything around us, it's actually two things, and they're closely related: smartphones and tablets. And the thing that I would point to with smartphones is possibly not what you're going to expect, and that's the cost down. Because the sensors that are in the smartphones, the memory, the processors, and so on, because there's billions of them being made, the price on those has dropped like a stone. And so, 10 years ago, if you wanted a 6-axis gyroscope that was worth a damn, it was the size of your fist and it cost 10 grand. And now you can get it for $1, and it's smaller than your fingernail. When it comes to tablets, I think it's really all about user experience and the changes that has propagated throughout all aspects of consumer and enterprise expectations. I remember seeing my kids with an early model iPad when they were 5 and 2, and in my terms, They were playing a game with a fish, and when you tapped the fish, it made fart noises and bubbles, right? Which was obviously very entertaining. But from my point of view, they had powered on a computer, they had loaded the operating system, they had picked an application, and they were doing productive work by their standards, all without any instructions, any adult supervision at the age of 5 and 2. And that's pretty transformative, and I think that is still reverberating through the industry. As far as looking at things from the past, the one thing tech is terrible at is learning from what we've done before. Like, we love to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't matter what area it is, we will go back and reinvent all day long. Easy example tied to today's talk, VR motion sickness. Much of what has been talked about in the last 5 years with this round of VR, we knew in the 90s. We were very well aware of it back then. The other one, just to be a bit controversial here, the idea that Facebook is going to create the metaverse. That's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous because a metaverse can only truly exist with open standards and interoperability. And the company that can't even be trusted with our data is not the company that's going to solve that. I'm pretty sure Meta is an acronym for Make Everything Truly Awful. That's my pitch for that one. But they are headed for, how many people in the room remember CompuServe? Okay, so that's the path that they're on with the metaverse. They are not headed down the World Wide Web path. That's what you're seeing from other companies that are doing far more open things. But yeah, they're headed squarely into the walled garden, which we all know from the last 50 years of tech is not the way forward.
But they all quote Neil Stephenson.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love that they're naming it after a dystopian novel in the first place.
Yes.
So, that kind of gives you a clue.
So you heard it today at AWE 2021, Nick's prediction here on metaverse. All right, let's have some fun. We'll mix it up. Yes or no? Question, answer. Can you visualize your own personal digital twin, whether it utilizes one of the realities or a combo of AI ML generated? Nick.
Not that solves the problem I want it to solve yet.
Javika.
Nope.
No?
No.
Wait a minute. Come on.
No, because I don't know if I can trust the system yet. At least to give my whole body as a digital twin. No, maybe parts of me, maybe my heart, or one of my organs. Definitely not my brain, but that, because if it helps them to if it helps someone to be educated, if my heart is good. That kind of thing, I would do it, but not my whole body.
Okay. Tom.
Not yet.
I probably need a few of them, I think, because I've got a lot of stuff to do, and it'd be nice to have some digital twins to help me get them done. In fact, I'd probably want to have different kinds for different sort of purposes. One that's really nice and one that's not so nice. Then I have adversarial digital twins.
Quintuplets instead of
Digital
twins.
twins, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Nick, what would be your ideal digital twin then? And not an evil and a good one.
Yeah, okay. So no, serious answer then on my best behavior. So one of the problems that I continually run into is that my work covers a very broad range of fields. And, a Google alert just for new information just doesn't cut it. So something that had a vague idea of what I was actually interested in, be able to sort, sift, and summarize information across many, many different fields, that would save me years of my life.
That'd be great, actually, to have.
Yeah, I was.
Possible, but
I was going to say I've seen a lot of digital twins really benefiting humanity and the real world already in play. I saw where in Singapore, I don't know if you've noticed that, but they created a digital twin of the city where from a high level on the building rooftops down to the street level, it's via like solar panels from building of a roof down to the street level where they're actually monitoring like vehicular traffic as well as pedestrian traffic and really helping good to do management from like energy, power, safety. So that's a real world application of a digital twin. And you know, setting aside the levity that we've had here, but it's also a lot of fun to have your own digital twin. So
It would be interesting. And this morning at Jensen Wang at his talk at the GTC, right, his hour-and-a-half long talk, he brought up the idea of building a digital twin of the Earth for climate studies, you know, climate modeling and predictions. So sells a lot of GPUs, I think.
wow, that's really great. Thank you all for your participation in our session, and I hope that what we talked about touches on, encourages you to define and create your own digital twin in the world of reality or not reality. And I'd like to invite Dane up here and see if there's any questions out there, or if you'd like to share what your digital twin might be.
Awesome. Looks like we got a question here.
So I have one for you folks. It has to do with the social
Well,
side.
first you got to answer.
Answer what?
Digital twin.
I don't know the question.
What is your, would you like a digital twin?
Would I like a digital twin?
Yes.
On the technical side, yes. On the social side, no. So,
Okay. All right,
and,
thank you.
my question is about actually the social side. So I'm going to go back many years ago. Did anybody ever see the movie You've Got Mail? Anybody ever?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen it. Okay. So I saw that with my wife. I probably was in my maybe 30s at the time. And socially, we went to a movie theater. You know, we don't do that anymore because we have great digital presence at home. So digital transformation took place in actually going out, meeting people, doing these things together. We sit at home now, watch TV. And I think it's a problem. So I want you to talk about that in a second. But I just want to finish this thing about You've Got Mail. So I'm sitting in the movie with my wife, and there were two older couples who were probably my age in the back. And one older couple said to the other, "I just got a computer." And the other person said, "What's a computer?" And he explained it, and he said, "I now have AOL, and I have mail." So he came to the movie because he wanted to know if the movie was going to teach him how to use his computer and AOL to get mail. So the other couple who didn't have a computer, and he said, "What do you mean you have mail?" Well, I said, "Hey, I get it on my computer. People send me notices and I respond." So one guy, the other couple who didn't have the computer turned around and he said, this goes to Tom's question about the analog stuff and his comment that just spawned on me. He said, "Well, when you get mail, what happens when you turn the computer off? Where does that mail go?" I mean, great question.
Metaphysics.
So the person who had the computer, he turned around and he said, "You know what? I think it's stored in the wires." Well, that was his answer, and then the movie started. So, you know, this whole social experience went on, and I think we missed that today. So that whole analog piece is gone, and I wanted to know if you would comment on that. So that was my anecdotal introduction to that.
I think we're out of time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, unfortunately, we might have 2 more minutes if one of you guys wants to try and tackle it real quick.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. So, you know, every generation adopts technology differently, right? And when I look at my kids and you know, people up to sort of mid-20s, a lot of them have grown up using these tools to socialize. And there was a great study done a couple of years ago that showed, I think, something like 80% of people involved in online communities reported sort of finding their tribe, and you know, 50% it was a sense of belonging, and I think somewhere between 13 and 20% actually found life partners that they subsequently ended up, you know, meeting with and staying with in real life. So it is very different, but I'm not convinced it's bad, right? It's still evolving though.
Yeah, that whole thing about the, you know, obsolescence of technology and stuff. So some of the stuff I'm getting rid of are old floppy disks, for example, you know, and tapes, you know, things like that. You know, I have zip disks. Yeah, I've got SideQuest cartridges. I've got all that stuff. You know, but what do you do with this stuff in the long run? And actually, it's a whole sustainability issue around that as well. You know, we basically, progress to a large extent seems to be made. Maybe could done differently, but right now it seems to be made by getting rid of the old stuff or making it so it's not useful anymore. Maybe there's ways around that to make more flexible things that maybe they're, you know, that will be able to continue to be useful long term.
And the rot of digital history is a very real problem.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
We've got systems that go offline, and now all of the data they contain just disappeared. So, there's huge swaths of early internet that just doesn't exist anymore. And there's no way to reclaim it.
I was going to say, this has now opened up a whole new topic, and we are out of time, and I want to thank my panelists, Nick, Tavika, and Tom, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Dane.